Recording. Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm very excited today to moderate this amazing session. Today is the day 3 with the majors and minors week. So it's 11 a.m. as you can see on the screen. It's the health and wellness. When we hear about health and wellness, of course, the very first thing that we can imagine is our kinesiology and, of course, exercise science students. So hopefully, the students, you will be getting like really great advice from 2 alumni today. They're gonna joining us. But before we jump in, introductions and of course our amazing conversation, I would like to have some housekeeping items and then some reminders. Let's go to second, hopefully. Okay, so to make that justice, the conversation is the pretty smooth. So please just make sure that if you're not speaking, mute yourself. So in that way, it's not gonna be background, the distraction, if it makes sense. And also, if you have any questions, I encourage you to either unmute yourself or use the chat box to ask your questions. And as you can see that the last but not least, this is recorded. I already hit the recording, FYI, and it's gonna be released on our YouTube channel, Tell Me Some Maze, within 24 hours. Today, we are excited to have 2 alumni. And let's see with the slide. Okay, the first, we're having Cindy with us, and Cindy is working with Texas Health Resources in Dallas, and then her current title is Cardiology Clinical Research Coordinator. How exciting is that? So hopefully our students today will also learn that with kinesiology or exercise degree, the only option is not really the PT or the PE, the positions. Hopefully it's gonna be very great conversation we're gonna have. Thanks so much for joining us today, Cindy. And then as you can see that, that word of encouragement, just make sure paying attention, right? And then attending the events that are happening on campus, that is important. So it's a really great advice, thank you. And then also we have Irene Lopez with us today. So she's working with the University Health Center as the medical fitness, the center at Texas Diabetes Institute. So she's a registered nurse, and her title is Certified Exercise Physiologist. So she is a certified exercise physiologist. And then as you can see from the word of encouragement that take a moment, but definitely take care of yourself first. I believe as a counselor, I rely on that as well. The very first thing like we learn in, the school, you're gonna take care of people. Yes, it's an important job, but first remember to take care of yourself. So let me just change the screen so students can see only us on the screen, and then we can go ahead and then start. But how about if we start first? Oh, and then before I jump in, I'm sorry, but thank you so much, Dr. Mary Kay Cooper, to make this amazing major and minor weeks happen.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you, alumni. Appreciate it. Couldn't do without you.
You're amazing. And also we have academic advisor Myra with us today. So she is working with students in College of Education, like again, kinesiology students. And so yeah, if you have any questions, you can ask that questions to Myra as well on the chat box. But let's start with the introduction. Cindy, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and then what's your role is, and then we can jump in and then to learn more about Irene.
Sure. So my background, I did, I think like 4 years at community college to figure out if I wanted to do like my major in PT or something else. So I ended up falling back onto PT, ended up transferring to A&M San Antonio, and then I did my undergrad in exercise science instead because I had gone to advising and they had asked me all these questions about like what kind of problems I wanted to solve, not necessarily what I wanted to do. And so they prompted me to the head of the department, Dr. Lee, and then he got me involved in research. And then 2 years after all of that work and doing research for him and other faculty members, I graduated in 2019, May 2019, and then I started as a cardiology clinical research coordinator. This past March, I was a research assistant in last fall, so I kind of moved up there. Did you also want to know what I did as my job? I'm so sorry.
That could be the follow-up question. Maybe we can first hear from Irene, and then follow-up question will be definitely what's your role and what you do. But could you please tell us about yourself, Irene?
Okay, so I am a registered nurse, exercise physiologist. I have been a nurse for many years. I've probably been a nurse for as long as some of these students are as old. So, and actually my original nursing experience had nothing to do with preventative care or wellness, but getting involved in health and wellness through various, channels outside of work led me to A&M San Antonio, and I spoke with the chair at the time, who advised me that, yeah, this is kind of the route you want to take if you want to include exercise and wellness. And 3 years later, master's degree, a position opened up to where I'm at right now, managing a medical fitness center and taking care of patients that have chronic conditions or that want to prevent onset of disease, following up cardiac rehab, physical therapy, and all those different patients. So that is what I do.
Awesome. I appreciated how both of you somehow highlighted that, asking for advice, it's very important. It's because really our students sometimes, they hesitate to ask for, the advice to make sure that if they're on the right career path and then what they can do. In particular, Cindy, like you said, taking some roles, which I know like involving in research that led you to have this amazing role, of course. But if you could ever, to change your career, let me ask that as follow-up. So change the dynamic a little bit, what that could be, or will you change, ever consider any other, maybe the career field?
That's a good question. I mean, my backup career or my ideal career has always been being a stand-up comedian. So this is kind of hopefully, building the monetary funds to do that eventually. But I think I would always want to stay close to health and wellness, just because it's like, if we're gonna say it in very common ways, like it never goes out of business. So like health and wellness will never go out of style, even because it's, as long as there are people on this earth, we will always want to pursue more and do more. So I think I would stay in the health and wellness realm. I would like to maybe do public health at some point. I think that would be a great career move. And then it's such a great place to be, especially with this change with technology, and the social environment's a lot different, so public health has to transform with it. And so that's very, very interesting to be in.
I appreciate you shared that, Cindy, because the other day we had another event, and then we had like some special guests working in public health right now, but the background as kinesiology, like you said. So that was amazing. This is what honestly our students, need to hear, is because when we share this information with them, sometimes, hey, you are a career advisor, of course, like you always, encouraging us, but is that really possible? So thank you so much, like sharing that. Or the other day, our special guest also talk about, make that happen. As long as you want it, definitely you can do that, on the career for yourself, just, to show effort. But how about you, Irene?
Probably, I don't know how much of a change it would really be. I do work as adjunct as well at A&M San Antonio, and I've really enjoyed doing that. So, I would probably less focus in this and go and teach, and hopefully continuing with A&M San Antonio. It's just a family of educators and people who took care of other people, essentially. Lots of healthcare professionals as well in my family. So this is just what we grew up learning how to do. So, and in this field here at University Health System, we teach the next generation of healthcare workers. And it's very much one of these see one, do one, teach one. And essentially I grew up professionally teaching other doctors and other healthcare professionals, or doctors, I should say. And so I do enjoy that aspect of my job. And if it ever came down to, that's all I could do, well, I'd be great with that.
Awesome. I loved it. But you both still, if you, could change anything, but it will be in the helping profession. That's also amazing, except like Cindy mentioned about being the comedian. That's amazing as well. But why not both? You can do
it helps people. Yeah.
Definitely helping profession, right? Making people happy. Actually, it's like the same thing. It's a wellness, right? But in a different way. Awesome, awesome. Okay. So of course, like any occupations, really. So any roles in organizations, wherever we work. So always there are like some special key skills, right? That you need to have it for that particular role. In your role, what are those special, the skills that someone need to have, and then over the time, how you really develop these skills?
So here at the fitness center, some of the specialized skills have to do with understanding disease process, not just of the individual, but of the community. Where my facility is located is the west side of San Antonio, which does have a higher prevalence of diabetes in San Antonio. And so Cindy was, alluding to public health. It is a basic understanding of that too, and it's not just the physical, but also the spiritual part of it. Where are these folks coming from? How can, is there something that we can do to understand their reality to help them understand what's going on in their life? And then there's the part, the nutrition part of it, the spiritual part of it. So understanding holistically the individual and then understanding the community as well. That I think has been very important in this role.
I
want to
that.
piggyback off that one a little bit with understanding both sides of our roles, because I think a huge skill set to have is communication. And like she said, everyone comes from so many different places and many different education backgrounds that we constantly have to be able to adapt, understand, empathize. But I think most importantly is listening without judgment, or having an answer already in your head, because we do that a lot. We kind of predict what you're about to say, and we're already generating our response in our head, when we should just take it for what it is and listen to what they're saying and what they're trying to communicate, because oftentimes they don't know what they're trying to communicate, and try and put you in their shoes in their daily life. So that's really difficult. And same thing happened to me when I went to advising. Like, I wasn't really sure how to phrase my question other than like, please help me with my future. So they help you push the boundaries on like, okay, well, what about your future are you most concerned with? Is it like financial, or just like general professional versus personal life balance, all those things. So I think in healthcare or health wellness, we're having to be those translators oftentimes, and that is a very, very hard skill to do.
Cindy,
I'd like to, pardon me, I want to add on to that as well. And I think Cindy may remember this in one of the classes that I'm teaching about communication. Listening isn't just waiting for the other person to stop talking so you can have your turn. I mean, listening is really taking in that information and digesting it, if you will, and then verifying that you understood what was being presented to you. And that's what I mean by like, getting into somebody else's reality, really trying to see where they're coming from their side.
I was in Mrs. Lopez's class, and I remember her teaching that, and she did a good version of that by forcing us into groups that we didn't choose to be in, with people we didn't really know or chose to really work with. But in those situations, you have to learn how to communicate and, finish the project in a timely fashion and appropriately. So that was a really good experience of working with different types of people, different backgrounds, but we have the same goal in mind.
Awesome. My profession is in counseling as well, so active listening, communication. When I hear this, and I'm like, yes, is because like without really understanding what our clients and patients need, how are we gonna be providing, the appropriate or the best, the treatment. So that communication and then active listening, honestly, brought another question, like a follow-up. What do you all think about telehealth? Is because right now it's like really one of the hot topic with the COVID-19. It's even they're becoming more and more popular. Since communication, active listening, how that changed the dynamics regarding the providing the treatment, providing the help.
There it is. Here you go. Yeah, absolutely. Here, it was tremendous. So, in my medical fitness center, there's no working from home. There's no way to provide this care, telephonically. So a lot of our clinics, not just here, but in the building that I'm in, a lot of our clinics shut down to patient care and changed to the format of telemedicine. It was a challenge at first, but it was quite fascinating. All of a sudden, a lot of the providers embraced it, and a lot of the patients did as well. And they actually felt, you know, I guess depending on the medium as well, whether it was just over the phone or a, you know, a face-to-face type visit, much like this, everybody seemed to be okay with it. Like, oh, you know what, this isn't so bad. It was a necessary change. I think things still progressed. Patients were still cared for. Prescriptions were still filled. There were times that some patients had to come in. Some of the clinics, you know, ophthalmology, it's really hard to do over the phone. Podiatry, you got to look at somebody's foot. So, but for the most part, it was pretty embraced, and to the point where when we started reopening up different clinics, some of the doctors were like, "Are you sure? I really like this telemedicine." So, but yeah, it seems to have been okay, and I see it as a potential for future care, and that's just, you know, my humble little nursing opinion.
No, it's definitely true, Irene. It's because I remember like 10 years ago when I was a master's student in counseling at UTSA, and at that time we were talking about the therapy, right? And then it wasn't even in the picture, only a few people were talking about it, and then there was a huge like disagreement, huge, you know, the fight about it. Hey, you know, the therapy is face to face, and then even like the online universities, you know, again, like it was a huge discussion. But recently with COVID, I believe that we're learning more, being adaptable and flexible, and then making maybe these, you know, the telehealth, like you said, Irene, you know, just the future of it. And then, yeah, I agree with you on that. How about you, Cindy? How was that change?
I think, so in cardiology, it's usually only urgent when it's in the hospital. So in a clinic setting, it's very elective. But it did show when we moved to telehealth for a little bit there, that people are kind of taking hold of being a stakeholder in their own health. And I feel like I didn't see that a lot in a traditional setting, because you show up for your appointment and you leave and you kind of forget everything that just happened, or you know, you forgot what your doctor said. But with telehealth, we have our lab results showing up on our phones now, you know, so we don't have to request these things anymore. And people are taking advantage of being able to transfer that to certain other physicians and providers much more easy, or with more access than before, just hoping that your first provider was able to fax it to your second provider. But since we have that all within like our personal cell phones, I think that's actually made it a lot easier on a lot more people, especially with like travel issues. I know like for cardiology, we have much older patient population, so it's easier for them to just, you know, get on, at least like being walked through the phone on how to get on all those things. But they really did, they wanted to learn more about their health and, you know, be better about it.
Awesome. Thank you. My next question is about your A&M San Antonio education. How did education and training really prepare you after graduation career? How about if you continue with you, Cindy?
Oh man.
Okay. Irene, go ahead.
No, it's still like pretty fresh. So, so I would take it with a grain of salt. I really wanted to hear from Mrs. Lopez because she's been on both sides of it all. And so this is new. She's probably just watching me, you know, fall in the pit holes in certain aspects, and, you know, but I think once I started engaging in activities and talking to my professors, kind of giving them ideas of like what I wanted to do, no professor ever wanted to know or needed to know like what is your specific career path. They just wanted to help you get to the next step of either knowing something more or getting more skilled in something. So I think after having worked personally with them, it prepared me to understand on how to work with other people professionally. I think the education was really well put together. I think they put a lot of thought into our curriculums. Even though I work in cardiology, I do a lot of weight management in diabetic care, because comorbidities exist for overweight populations, which will affect their heart. So I do a lot of talking about healthy exercising, eating healthy, kind of just the general how physiology works. And I was like, I didn't know I would actually use my basic classes that I, waited till senior year to finish. So I think A&M's curriculum really did prepare me. They offered a lot of opportunities to work in like research. Even Mrs. Lopez had internship students at her site. So they got hands-on experience working with different types of people and backgrounds. But I think it was very good education because we had a small group of cohorts. So it was easy to kind of get that attention where I don't think I would have gotten that same attention going to a bigger university,
Awesome. Regarding the hands-on experience, of course, like we really encourage our students to, to gain that real life experience. And then I remember, Cindy, you were like pretty, the taking roles in active roles in the, the student organizations and then research and everything. I remember your visit with me as well. And then that is important, I believe, to seek for help. Hopefully, the students will get that advice from you. Thank you.
And I think as well too, and Cindy did say it, both sides. I loved having the students here. It was great to actually show them hands-on. When I would do fitness testing, I can't tell you how many students would be like, wow, you mean what we learned with Dr. Smith actually worked? Yes, it does. You actually apply it, I promise. It's one of those where one day you're like, hey, it's another successful day using algebra. And you thought way back in geometry, when am I ever going to use this again? And here it is. And it does. Cindy's right. It just builds. It's like, it's the next level, the next level, the next level. And then same as a student in graduate school, the next level, research, how to refine your research, how to apply, what you want to study, taking what you've learned from your research and now applying that to whatever it is that you're doing. And you're not doing research on something that you don't have an interest in, hopefully. And so what I did my research in, and I, was great, and I brought it back here, loved it. And so I make sure that I put my patients through some sort of strength training, some sort of resistance training. It's just, really effective in glucose metabolism. So yeah, I've got the both sides of that. And I really, felt like it's been good to see it on both sides.
Awesome. As career advisor, like really, I appreciate what I'm hearing from both of you, is because not just students learning, but really they having that opportunity to apply that, the new learning through the research, through the internship. So it's very important. So it's like more practical, and then they enjoy more, and then they can see the outcome results right away. I learned this, but yeah, I can use that information in this setting. So that's amazing. Okay, my next question is about, one of your favorite professional project. So what that look like?
So I actually have something that's in the works. I've applied for a grant here with our foundation, and because of, COVID restrictions and capacity availabilities, so many people I can have in my room, I'm applying for a grant to get fitness trackers and basically do virtual personal training. It's not really in the works yet, waiting for the okie dokie. If it does get approved, and I'm hoping, I don't want to jinx anything, I'm looking forward to really putting that to work and seeing how it may be able to double my capacity, in essence, how many patients I see, whether it's virtually or in person. So that I'm looking forward to.
Awesome. Good luck with that. That's amazing. And even like these virtual, like we talk about telehealth, and right now we're talking about, the using, the virtual tracking system. Like the same thing with even, our office, just right before the COVID, we had these, the VR glasses to make it more, the interesting for students, and then of course utilize technology that way. That's amazing that, in any settings really we can see the technology being used more and more often. So good luck with that. And then that is an amazing, Irene. How about you, Cindy?
I feel like Mrs. Lopez has a little bit of a leg up professionally than I do. By a few years, just a couple. She's like, what, 25? So like, I would say right now, a lot of my professional projects deal with just general problem solving. So when COVID happened, and one of my research studies deals with an investigational product that you have to self-inject. And so when we barred people from, coming into the office, how are they going to get their medication that could be what they actually needed to do what it says for the research? So I had to work with a lot of different agencies and institutions to get it approved, to have investigational products mailed to our participants, because otherwise we can't just stop their treatment. And it would be the same way with medicine. Like, you would want it, if you weren't able to go to the pharmacy, you would want it mailed to you. So off of that, because we were seeing less people in the program as well, I've been working with our sponsors and other local companies to do marketing, so that people understand that clinical research is still going on. It's an avenue to still get healthcare because it's free. We pay for everything. And so if you qualify for this study, consider it. You still get a physical, you get blood work done, and all of it's paid for by us. And so for the people who may or may not have, or may have lost their jobs and healthcare with it, this might be an avenue to at least bridge that gap until, things get better, because you can't go without healthcare. It's really hard.
Awesome. Very exciting projects from both of you. That's great. Okay, so the next question is about challenge. Of course, like some people, they don't really call it challenge. Sometimes they see that as a, the learning opportunity. It could be either, however you really describe and define it. But what has been your greatest challenge learning, the moment opportunity so far in your career field?
I think it's pretty universal when everyone will say communication is the biggest challenge. We always want better communication, or I wish I knew earlier that a project was coming up that was this big, kind of thing. And so I think for me, and again, I'm only a year and a half out from graduating, I think communication is difficult. And then with COVID, we're having a lot more Zoom meetings. Projects come up, but it's hard to communicate with certain stakeholders of that project if they're in different time zones. And then, so I think communication has been so difficult, but I think a huge remedy of that is, being empathetic, but also being very flexible. So people in different time zones, you will have to accommodate, but only know that this is temporary. It's not forever. You're not always going to have to get up at 6 a.m. for a call, or stay till 7 p.m. for a call either. So I think a lot of people kind of, or at least maybe in my organization, like, forget, this does suck, but it's not lasting forever. So it's not a problem, I hope. And why do you have plans at 7 p.m.? Where are you going? Where could you possibly go in COVID?
Right, we're in quarantine. You're not going anywhere at 7 p.m.
Right.
That, embrace the suck. Isn't that kind of a thing? Embrace the suck. Same. I think the challenge is that, but what are we learning? How are we taking that challenge? Moving on from Cindy's point too, I think anytime there's been a disruption in our society, it's only moved things forward. And so I think we are learning new ways to communicate. I think we are learning new ways to teach, new ways to learn, new ways to show, new ways to care. And so it's kind of exciting. And I think if we can continually wake up and be excited about it, as opposed to being anxious about it, I think that we'll be okay. Is the issue is this is we haven't been in this kind of situation. At least our generation really hasn't been in this situation that I can remember. And I have a 21-year-old daughter, and I'm like, she's living in historic times, and she has seen lots of change. She has no idea what a rotary phone is. She only knows her smartphone, so there's going to be more to that, though. Everything on this phone that I'm holding, there's stuff behind my desk over here that, a printer, copier, fax, computer, phone, it all fits in the palm of my hand. I think, embracing what's happening, dealing with it. And if, I think it's been great in that those people that maybe are not dealing with the stress as well, that have some need for mental health counseling, we need to help them out as well, and not, mock anybody for not being able to deal with this problem. No. We all need to help each other. I think that hopefully, comes from this as well, that we have more empathy for each other too, and that we learn to care about each other.
Awesome. Thank you both. Like definitely regarding, the helping each other. So I believe it's important making empathy. What I noticed that with COVID, so it's like March, February, right? It's been a while. So even right now, we don't know how long it's going to be. But I believe that right now, more than ever, the people in particular, for instance, LinkedIn, I'm a big fan of it. Like the people are ready to help each other more than ever. Everyone is right now highlighting the importance of compassion, like more and more. Again, empathy is all over the place. So I believe the students, like your advice are amazing for our students, but also they can maybe, to seek for mentorship. And then like Irene, you said really well, maybe they can seek if they need, some advice and some counseling, which our counseling center is amazing. They provide still, the virtual services. So, but again, if you feel like alone, just know that you are not alone. There are, the others like you. So we are together in this, right? The student, faculty, staff. So, but again, seek for help. I believe it's very important. It could be seeking for mentorship as well. So that's amazing. So the next question is about, some effective strategies. So what kind of strategies you can share with our students if they want to seek a position in your career field?
Don't quit looking. What is it? Basketball, you only make the shots you take. And if you're going to apply for, 2 or 3 jobs, okay, nice, but you really got to put yourself out there, and it's going to be uncomfortable. Get used to being uncomfortable for a little while. That's how you grow. Trees grow after they're pruned. That little snip on that tree is probably painful for that tree, I guess, if you hug trees. But it's good for that tree. It's good for us, that growth, that little bit of pain, I think, that discomfort is so good for us. Don't stop trying and don't settle. Really go after what it is you want to go after.
That's a really good point.
Advice.
I remember when I was applying after graduation, or at least between what I figured out what I wanted to do as a role. Once you figure that out, that's not even the hardest part, because I sent out over 100-something applications. I kept an Excel spreadsheet and who the point of contact was, and it was really sparse between like how many applications were sent, how many got responses, then even smaller the number of interviews. It really is, like you said, a numbers game. Like you have to keep trying, but you also have to try like all the avenues. Did you try reaching out to someone in the company? Like you said, Dr. Kurt, like LinkedIn is a great avenue for that. You get specific names of people you can reach, but not just throwing out your application. I catered mine for each application I did, and it was exhausting. And like Mrs. Lopez said, like you have to keep chipping away at it, because you won't really make it any further if you don't revise your resume or cover letter and you're just sending out the same generic one over and over. You're not doing anything for yourself, at least. And so I think that's my biggest takeaway from that was also asking for help. So I asked, my friends for help as far as like interviewing practice, because it goes well in your apartment in front of a mirror, but once you're in front of someone else and seeing their reaction and just how stoic they are, not responding to you, it feels like you're not answering it right. But the practice to be in front of someone who's potentially judging you and seeing if you're qualified is hard. So asking for help and reaching out to your network, even though for a new graduate, it might be really small. Your network might be so small, and it's your friends and your previous professors. And so reaching out will be a big help. No one's going to forget you. It's not going to be awkward. You just say, hey, I took your class. I just graduated. I was wondering if you knew so-and-so or anything that's open in this field. Please let me know. Because the worst thing they'll say is like, no, I'm sorry. Like there's nothing, in that field that's open right now, but I'll keep you in the loop if there is.
Awesome. I love those advice. Again, don't stop. Don't quit, right? Don't settle. I always look for it. And then networking matters. And then definitely you need to seek for that help. Love it. Our last question, and then we can jump in our students if they have any questions for us. But what is a piece of advice you will offer undergraduate to you?
Oh, since it wasn't too long ago for me, I'll answer that one first. I would say the best advice is utilizing the benefits that we have at A&M San Antonio. So there's career counseling. If you don't know what you're going to do or have some idea what you want to do, go visit them. They have a career closet, which is great because on a college budget, it's really hard to buy yourself interview clothes. So they provide them. And all these services I've used too. So I wouldn't say them if I haven't. Also, I think those were the two most common ones that I used, but the third one is probably the most helpful one was they offer free counseling, and it can sometimes get busy with like appointments, but it really helped reduce my stress because I think I was like on 100 every single day. I was sleeping maybe like 3 hours, and I knew like I wasn't going to make it to graduation if I couldn't bring down my stress, kind of clear my head and focus on, what's my end goal? Like, why am I letting everything else bother me? And it's starting to make me forget why I was even pursuing this. And it makes it harder to do it with quality, do whatever assignment it is, project it is with quality when you're so stressed out and just tired all the time. So talking it out with the counselors in, I forget where it was, but the counselors in those back portables, it was super helpful. They listen, they're very professional, and you sign all the HIPAA paperwork and all those things are completely private, but I think it was the most help because it's free. Mental health should be free, and that was the best support I had in undergraduate.
Awesome. Like really great advice. And then, okay, so Irene is back. I believe we lost you a few minutes. Irene, you there? Irene, can you hear us? You are frozen again, I believe. Cindy, you are there, right? Okay, let me ask a follow-up question. Maybe we can get Irene back in that time. Since earlier you were saying that like really your graduation was until recently you were with us, the A&M. As earlier we discussed a little bit, some of the students studying in not necessarily just the kinesiology, but like really for any students you can they even provide that advice out there or the tips. Sometimes they don't really think outside of the box, and then they see their career path is linear, right? So the kinesiology, okay, so it has to be maybe the PT school, right? There's no any other option. Or like, again, education major, oh, I need to be a teacher. So the students like really having that dilemma or not really understanding what is available out there for them. What kind of advice you have for the students, going through these I will say the debate?
I think a lot of that can be remedied by asking around like what professors used to do before they were a teacher. And I was so surprised by so many answers that, I mean, like Dr. Smith, he was like, yeah, when I worked at HEB, I was like, how did you do that? And so, and what led him to where he was. And that's the same for everyone else. Like, no one I don't think I've ever met has had a linear path to where they were or are now. So they always say, take it with a grain of salt with where you are, because it's always going to be temporary. So I think, asking what people have done, just being genuinely interested in what someone else has done will really clear what you want to do, because how would you know what you want if you haven't seen it? And I think for me on a personal level, when I was younger, a lot of people asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's hard to say because my mom was a stay-at-home mom and my dad was an assistant manager at 7-Eleven. So my scope of the world it's pretty small. And so getting out there, trying new things, failing at plenty of other things, really helped narrow down what I wanted to do. And for kinesiology, I think it's great because one of our biggest and best skill sets as a kinesiology student is that we understand systems really well. So it's not that, you know, we come out of graduating and say, oh, we know really so much about the heart, just the heart, nothing else, just the heart. So it's like math, you know a lot of different types of math, but you're not going to say, I'm the best at math. I'm so good at math, the maths. So I like to tell people in interviews, they say like, you know, what's your greatest strength, or like, how does your education factor in? And I say like, well, I study kinesiology, so I understand systems really well and how they interact with other parts of not just the body, but how we work as a system in the world. So as abstract as that sounds, it makes me think on a more logical plane of how this will, if this happens, this will happen, and how everything's interconnected. So I think it is difficult, like said Dr. Kurt, on being creative with how you see yourself as too. And I don't know if you have any advice on reshaping how we see ourselves as a kine student, because like you said, I thought, you know, I would just go into PT or being a teacher, because that's what we see on the paper saying like, okay, you can do education degree or you can do a kinesiology degree. Which one is it?
So Cindy, unfortunately, you didn't have this framework when you were with us, but beginning of this semester, we started using design thinking. I don't know if you heard about it. So this is a Stanford-based, you know, the engineering faculty is pretty much over there started this, and then not really teaching you how to think like an engineer, but like a designer. With the design thinking, like based on your right now the question, like my advice, I believe, our students need to reframe and redesign their purpose. Like, what is the purpose? What is the meaning of life? And then for you, for Irene, I heard a lot about, you know, the helping others. Same thing with me. I was a teacher back in Turkey, my home country. And then last 10 years, my profession is in counseling, working with students at career services, college students, connectedness, mentoring. So that is so when I redesign my, you know, the career path, again, focusing on making empathy, defining it, and then identifying it. Like, again, I believe that finding the purpose, it's gonna be the key in that case. Dr. McKay Cooper shared, design thinking 101. So I believe that is very, very helpful. So right now we really, even for our the first year, you know, the seminar presentations this year, we focused on the design thinking with our students. So yeah, hopefully that whoever is gonna be watching this the video, hopefully the students also they hear about it. But it's a really, really helpful framework.
That's really interesting. I wanna get onto that as soon as we get off. Just because I wish, that may have helped me or may have made the process easier. But I wanted to know, what do you think about when people say like, oh, well, why don't you follow what you're passionate about? Because when I hear that, I'm thinking, well, I'm passionate about like a lot of things like sports, but I don't want to do it or treat it professionally. I want to keep what makes me happy, like personal. And I don't want to have like a boss that overheads all of that or anything. So what do you think about the whole like following your passion, or just like, you know, doing something you're really good at?
Even design, it's a great point. Even, you know, the design thinking book, like very first chapter, very first, maybe even the paragraph, they say that they don't like this question. What is your passion question? They don't like it. It's because most of the time they found out that the students don't really know what they're passionate about. So the reframing, even the question, is helping the students to better understand what they are skilled at, what they are talented at, then just building on their skills and talents to find that passion, if it makes sense. So for those students, again, to focus on the skills, interest, then just building that compassion, is because they're gonna be loving what they do after they really know themselves well. So design thinking is all about that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Because I guess it builds the confidence in your competence in the job, and not necessarily like your competence in that passion. And so, and that would be an unfair scope to judge your passion and then pay you for it. But I think judging you on your competence of what you're skilled at, and then you get compensated, it makes much more objective sense. to do that. And that was something hard for me to swallow. I was like, okay, so what am I actually like good at, like skill wise? And people skills was something I feel like was on the higher end, and working by myself was like in the middle. So I was like, okay, so what kind of things can I do? And I think Mrs. Lopez was doing more clinical items. So what that means is just people facing jobs. And so that doesn't necessarily mean you're always with people, because I only see patients 30% of the time. Everything else is on the computer, admin work, or with other departments. But how would you say, I don't know if that's part of the design thinking process, I'm just jumping the gun here. What are some cues that we could look out for to know, like, oh, I'm probably skilled at this, you know?
I mean, for that, of course, like we have assessments, but again, the design thinking, like really the framework not supporting and encouraging the assessment that often is because it's all about, according to them, it's all about you. So you have to take some action. You have to make empathy with people, like whoever your role model, right? Look at them, if they're enjoying their job, what are some skills they needed, how their day-to-day, the work setting, like it's gonna be fitting with your skills and interests. You're gonna enjoy doing that job or not. Or even like generating ideas. Like most of the students, unfortunately, we keep seeing that even for us, not just the students, I mean, it's gonna be unfair for them to say it, but we sometimes like really have that fear of generating ideas. We are not really that creative and innovative, right? So design thinking is all about that. There are a lot of strategies. There are too many of them. Odyssey plans, they're talking about mind mapping is huge on this. The mind mapping is like, you just writing whatever comes to your mind, and then you don't judge yourself. But most of the human being, I believe that we judge ourselves, and then narrowing down our, the career path on that. I really encourage you to keep in touch with me. Then I will be happy to share with you what we have, presentation slides, and also we have workbook. Then you can learn more about it. But also you can go to YouTube, and then, the students, of course, watching this on YouTube, there are too many like really great videos from the authors of the Design Your Life book. And then there are any other, of course, like, the people's, there are a lot of, the people's individuals or professionals, design thinking presentations available on YouTube, and even TEDx as well. But it's becoming like a thing right now in the career services, focusing on design thinking framework more than the career planning framework, if it makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, because I know, like, if this were 5-6 years back, I wish someone would just tell me, you're good at this. This is something that you should do career-wise. And that would have been so much easier. But the world doesn't work that way. The world works on you having to market yourself and understanding what you're good at to really compel someone else to say, like, okay, I think this person is way better than everyone else that we've seen and talked to. Because you're right, there's no way any place has ever done the whole, okay, so you went through this whole career path, let's hire you on, just because of that on its own.
Yeah. And then if you have time, this is the last thing, Cindy, before we wrap it up. If you have time to read a new book, I'm sure that you're already reading and I'm doing a lot, but these authors have like the 2 books, and then they had it 2019 and 2020. And any students, like, really, I encourage you to read those 2. The one is Designing Your Life, the other one, Designing Your Work Life. And if you're not working, and then if you are just a student right now, doesn't matter if you're a freshman or senior, go ahead and then read that book, Designing Your Life. And the second one, again, Designing Your Work Life. Maybe you can go and then read the second one if you want, but 2 of them, it's gonna be better combination. But thank you so much, Cindy, for joining us today. It seems like Irene is not, the joining us back. So I've been waiting for her. Maybe, she could, but it seems like she's having technical issues. Yes, technical issues. Okay. Dr. Maker Cooper, thanks so much again on making this happen. Later on, we're going to be together.
My pleasure. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Dr. Cooper. It's so good seeing you.
Myra, thank you so much to you as well. But before we wrap it up, I'm going to be reminding our students for our upcoming the fairs, and also, okay. So all major virtual career fairs, students, it's gonna be on October 15, next Thursday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's really amazing. We have employers from like any industry you can imagine. So please join us. You can see the QR code and then it's on handshake, but also it's on jaxing as well. So you don't have to like really try to take picture here. Again, if you go to your jaxing and handshake, you're gonna have all the details. I encourage you to join this, even if you are a freshman, even you are just adjusting to college, to learn about that virtual fairs. It's very, very important. And then just the following week, we're gonna have graduate and professional school fair. And then this fair, we have so far 64 institutions. But again, we still have 2 weeks. I believe that it's gonna be maybe 7, even more. It's a university record. And then again, this is a virtual. And then imagine from Johns Hopkins University, from UCLA, from medicine, from law, from the business education, you name it. It's a huge scope. We are so excited about this, October 20th from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Please join us. Myra, please let all your students to join us, help us to promote, and then Dr. Cooper as well. But also like social media, definitely, as we promised, this session, it's gonna be available on YouTube within 24 hours. But Tamisa Mays on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter as well. Just follow us, so keep in touch. And then last but not least, please mark your attendance. It's very important. So you can go to Jackson. You're gonna see the link, but also the QR. So this is how you can mark your attendance. So it's gonna go to your experience transcript. This important piece as well. But thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Irene, even though you are not here. But
Bye-bye, y'all.
bye-bye.
Bye, thanks for having me.
Bye, Maya. Of course, bye-bye.